Good to be here. Thank you,
And
Alex.
we also have Fast Market contributor Evelyn Baker with us again as well. Evelyn, thanks for coming back.
Hi.
Hey, Landon, real quick, when we're looking at Macy's, this is one that, I'm looking at your data and I'm sure it's not going to be great, but this stock has been, absolutely killed over the last, 6-7 months. Are you seeing the same with the data, or is there a little bit of a divergence?
You're right. The stock has been absolutely killed over the last 6 or 7 months, and we think that that is completely justified. A lot of times when we see the purchase intent going this low, we like to see the stock going higher, so that's our divergence opportunity, right? Obviously, this is not the case. So we believe here that the stock is priced pretty well, and you can see on this purchase intent chart, you can see the very seasonal nature of people talking about going to Macy's. You can see the holiday season, and what's really critical is you're seeing that they're getting lower and lower each year. And this is all-time lows for purchase intent on Macy. This is a company that's in absolute trouble. The stock shows it, the purchase intent shows it. Unfortunately for us, we have that priced correctly. And so what we're really hoping for is for some reason that they bounce a little bit off of their earnings so that we can continue to short it. Because right now they're looking well priced, correctly priced, but the data is just awful on Macy's.
Landon, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Ben Watson, and that is, throw us a lifeline. If you think some of these retail stocks have been overdone, like Macy's and Nordstrom, throw us a lifeline why we should start nibbling on these names, because as you know, they don't just sell them, they oversell them, and these stocks are pretty cheap here. Yeah,
they are, and unfortunately with Macy's, so one of the things that we do when we walk into these segments, our research team, Megan does a great job of digging in, looking at more information for me. And I said, give me something positive on Macy's, Megan. And she said, I've got nothing. I mean, consumer happiness is flat. You want to call that a positive, I guess, maybe. But usually when we see purchase intent going this low, we see happiness going up as the core customers stay and people who are frustrated leave. We're not seeing that. We're seeing that it's just pretty much holding, which is not what you want to see. Kevin, you like to do the old rewind. I'll give you a date. September 1997, I got a gift for my 18th birthday. I'm dating myself a little bit there. Got a gift for my 18th birthday from my parents. They let me invest in a company if I wanted to. I'm glad I didn't, but had I picked Macy's, I'd be down 0.5% since then.
But you had some profits along the way too, right?
Well, yeah, I could have taken, but if I held this entire time, yeah, I'd be down about 0.5%. So
yeah, it's had quite a ride, that's for sure.
Yeah, it would have been a fun ride.
It certainly has. It does pay a dividend. I'm not sure if you factored that in or not, Landon, but I want to bring Evelyn into the conversation here too. Evelyn, when you're looking at social media and your own experience, does that reflect similar things as Landon's alluding to here in terms of, there's just not a lot of bright spots for Macy's?
Definitely, Landon, what you were saying about people not being super happy with their consumer price intent mentions that within your data is pretty much what I'm seeing on social media as well. Not a lot of people talk about Macy's, especially outside of earnings. And whenever they do talk about it, they're talking about shorting it, or they're talking about not wanting to be invested within the retail sector as a whole right now. In fact, our first tweet has sort of a recent headline with that as well, with the tariffs and how that will play out with these retail companies. Our first tweet says, there are lots of China-made products at Macy's. If not resolved, we will see a new all-time lows on this one. And their last all-time lows were back in November 2017. But Landon, I have a question for you. Do you see this affecting Macy's more so than some other comparable retail names that y'all study?
Yeah, we look at a lot of retailers. Macy's is probably our worst as far as purchase intent data goes. Another bad one is Dillard's. It's also doing very poorly, but according to our data anyway. So I think that they're trying. They're now going to be the competitor to TJ Maxx. They're trying to restructure, cut costs in management, and go for more of the bargain hunters. And they got to do everything they can. Right now, what they're trying isn't working. Maybe they will turn it around, but we're seeing very, very negative year-over-year, quarter-over-quarter type data for Macy's and Bloomingdale's, both of them.
Well, it's got a long ways to an all-time low. I pulled up just basically back to the financial crisis, and it shows a low in Macy's at $5. So that's quite the call in terms of a price directional move here. But the number that you were referring to, Evelyn, looks like we got down in the 17,
right,
17
and change
in late 2017. That is within striking distance, and if you did get a move down in earnings, that's right there as we're looking at like a $2 move. You were seeing anything else on Macy's though, Evelyn?
Yeah, well, definitely, and on the tailwinds of Ralph Lauren having their earnings this morning and really not doing a great job. They were down 6% when the market opened on lagging revenue growth, et cetera, et cetera. Macy's is sort of, people talk about Macy's similarly to how they would talk about Ralph Lauren and the retail sector as a whole, like we were saying. And our next tweet from Robert Simon, who says, "The consumer will stop spending when they feel," I said feel, not are, less rich. That means retail, no matter how good the company is, the stock price takes a hit. I want to buy Nordstrom, Kohl's, and Macy's, but there is more downside. I do feel like Nordstrom might be sort of a different level. I couldn't quite compare Macy's to another department store, maybe JCPenney's, but I feel like Nordstrom has the reach into the discount brands with its Nordstrom Rack that Macy's doesn't quite have.
And online sales
yes.
at Nordstrom that you can do. Listen, I'm going to tell you guys a trading story. It's a 20-second trading story. I used to trade with a guy, KER, on the CBOE. He used to share an office. He would walk around the floor, Landon, and ask people an opinion, either betting on a game or your opinion on stocks or the market in general. And if it went one way, like all the sentiment is this way, he would immediately take the other side of the trade. Because everyone, the herd is always wrong. That's the way he used to do it, and it was fabulous.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Kevin, because that's what I was just about to ask Landon. When you see basically all of the signs across this whole sector, everything looks pretty, the outlook doesn't look great for this sector. Is that time, the time that maybe you walk alone, you stand alone, and maybe you might be early, but you step in here a little bit and you think maybe this is a chance to buy, a stock on the comeback?
Maybe. I think this is too early for Macy's. So
Very
I looked at Nordstrom's data. Nordstrom looks a lot better. They're selling off and the data's kind of holding. Macy's is selling off and the data's all-time lows. So if I'm going to pick one, it's certainly not going to be Macy's. What I'm really hoping for, and again, our data is showing that the price is right here. They've been selling off like crazy, and it pretty much lines up with what our data says. So officially, LikeFolio doesn't have an opinion right now. We're basically neutral. We're really hoping that they pop on earnings tomorrow so we can continue shorting them.
That's interesting. And then Macy's too, they're mainly here domestically as well. So your data is probably pretty strong on a Macy's name as opposed to some that have more of an international exposure too, right, Landon?
Absolutely. Good point. Yes.
And so when I'm looking at Macy's, though, my thing would be, Kevin, it is, it's making low after low after low. And if you're trying to, as we kind of talked to, catch the falling knife in a way symbolically, though, the question would be, when is the time? Because you're gonna, if you wait too long, you're gonna miss it if it does make a turnaround. But this really could, maybe not make the turnaround.
Think of how low the bar is set. And Landon has a great point here. The one to buy, if you want to get involved in the retail space, you may want to listen to this data and nibble on Nordstrom, not Macy's, as kind of a better bet on someone that's just as beat up as Macy's, frankly, but maybe not having the same effects as something like Macy's.
Which is something we've already began to do, is we're already leaning a little bit long in the portfolio on Nordstrom.
Right.
But Landon, just to sum everything up real quick too, LikeFolio, no strong feel as of right now, but any bounce you guys would look to maybe reestablish some type of a bearish position as your data is not looking great on Macy's. Is that correct?
You nailed it, absolutely. This is really bad data, long-term, very bearish outlook on the company overall, but we think the stock is priced correctly here. So yes, we're hoping for some kind of bounce that's unjustified, and we will continue to be bearish if that happens.